Well, let's talk about it. So there was the patch notes. I had a video last night. Night and a half ago. I don't even know about time anymore with all this league start hustle and everything going on. I posted the video on me going over the patch notes and the Ball Lightning of Static build. A lot of people were coming in the comments and being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they targeted your build and they nerfed it and everything." And there were a couple smart Alex out there being like, "Ha, told you so. Shouldn't have been playing on your league starter." And yeah, I just want to talk about that a little bit today because I think it's interesting, and also talk about why, despite it actually just overall being better, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to be changing my plans regardless. Editor me here. I just want to give you guys a warning right off the bat. My blue light filter, so everything looks orange, was turned on, and I didn't notice when I was recording. So some of the video, it's kind of hard to see, but the most important thing is what I'm saying. And the second thing that I want to say, I meant to say it in the original recording, but I missed it, is the purpose of my series of videos, and this is, I guess, more of just like a serious thing. The purpose of my videos that I made last week, I think it was like kind of misinterpreted. For me, I think the journey and the knowledge that we gain, and the transparency and kind of doing stuff together of trying to figure out the league starter. Let's take an extreme example. Even if PoE got deleted next Friday instead of everything getting nerfed, I still think that process, that learning experience, the being able to share the knowledge with each other, granted the knowledge, spending this much time learning video games might not be that good anyway, but just that process, like the intellectual challenge of trying to solve the puzzle of finding a build, despite the build not being buffed. Like this is just like kind of like my approach here, philosophy, I guess you could say, is as long as we're upfront about everything and transparent, the whole process I think is valuable. What I want is with you guys, with the audience here, is I want us to have a dialogue, a mature, smart dialogue. And I just don't like engaging in the treating the audience and the players as, I don't know, just like kind of stupid and that they can't understand context. And there are people that are like that. But at the end of the day, I think those are just kind of trolls. And sometimes people can get confused. But if you are intellectually honest and you are open-minded, you'll just ask questions and you'll be like, "Oh, I get it now," right? None of us are perfect. In this context, even if the build were totally deleted, I would be fine. Spoilers, it wasn't. You just scale a little bit differently. You just scale less mana cost instead of more, and then you're doing tons of damage with regular Ball Lightning. And you'll see all the detail a little bit later in the video. But regardless, I think it's cool to go over the build, discovery process together and just show that experience. And I think regardless, that is like a document, that a series of documents, right? That we went over, and a thing that we did together that was fun and it was educational. And at the very least, right? Like now I can look at any mana stacking build and I have a much stronger foundation. Hopefully you guys too also have a strong foundation if you were following me in those videos, right? And going through all the detail and figuring it out, and like, oh, do we use Ivory Tower? Do we use Low Life? Do we use Mind Over Madness? Agnostic, all those things, like experimenting, right? And it just makes us better at the game, making builds, playing, and just having fun together. I don't want us to kind of lower ourselves to the lowest common denominator, and I want to raise the level of the discussion that we have here with these videos. I've had some conversations now where people disagree with me sharing the league start, that process, like that build discovery process, because they think that people could get confused. And I 100%, I understand that perspective, but I am just politely disagreeing because I think, while some people could exploit people's confusion and they use that to kind of like dogpile on, I want to move us in a direction where we can have an honest intellectual conversation or a mature discussion about this. It's just Evol's just a video game at the end of the day. And I think it's fun and it's always valuable. Even if the build gets deleted, as long as I'm not making a build guide saying, absolutely play this next league, it's going to be the best. This is the best build ever. You should play it right now. Here's all the POBs. Here's how you level it. Like, as long as I'm not doing that and I'm just saying, hey, we're just figuring stuff out. We're just, a little bit of discovery, wandering out there into the forest and seeing if anything looks cool. As long as that's all we're doing, I think that's valuable. And I think it's really cool. And the response to those videos was so positive. And I want the fallout of that, even though the exact build that I wanted to play cannot be played anymore because of the patch notes. That process, I think I want to encourage you guys to, think of that as a positive thing regardless, because we all learned together and it was a fun process. And I hope we all share things. I was just intending to, I just hit record to say, hey, by the way, the blue light filter's on, deal with it. And it just kind of turned into this whole thing. So yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the video. Bye. So the big change that happened, the multiple big change that happened. First thing that I read was this actually. Ball lightning of static can no longer be used by totems. And I was like, I get it, right? That was basically an exploit because you could summon a new totem and it would get past the cooldown of ball lightning of static. And then I was like, oh, Archmage can no longer be supported by brand or orb skills. And I was like, well, that's fine. You know, ball lightning is not an orb skill. That's great. Cool. Spell projectile AoE lightning. Very cool. All right, doesn't affect me. And then we go to static, and ball lightning of static does have an orb tag. I actually think that the main reason that they added that orb exclusion is because the new tornado skill that potentially would have been pretty insane actually with Archmage support, the triple elemental prismatic tornado. So I think they did that, and this, you know, they may have targeted this, but I think it also did catch a stray a little bit. The specific ball lightning of static did get nerfed. The way that I think about it is I was just making a ball lightning mana stacker that was fine, and they nerfed ball lightning of static, or they didn't nerf it, they just nuked it. Doesn't work. But regular ball lightning now, because they buffed the crap out of Archmage, insanely huge buff for Archmage, so it actually gets a ton of damage. Like I said, like it was a couple videos ago, I said, hey, I actually leveled it with regular ball lightning and I took it to kill Exarch and Eater. It was fine. Like you can play this build, even if ball lightning of static gets nerfed, regular ball lightning is still playable. And that was my plan. I was already going down that path and that was my goal. So in the end, this is actually a gigantic boost. Previously, the way that Archmage worked is that the higher the mana cost, the more added lightning damage that you would get of 75% of the mana cost. So you could do shenanigans to basically stack it with Indigon. You try to go for more increased mana cost of skills. So you go for things here like Forethought to make things cost more mana, which would add more flat lightning damage to your spellcast. Now, the way that it works is you actually just get up to level 20, 19% of your unreserved maximum mana added as flat lightning damage, period. It no longer scales off of the mana cost. So the cool thing here is you can actually reduce the mana cost, not sit there and chunk and spend all your mana like crazy, and still get all of the value out of Archmage. You actually want to reduce your mana cost as much as possible, and then Indigon probably just becomes best in slot by far. Because you're no longer like multiplying Indigon times Archmage. You're just trying to reduce that mana cost and get a lot of value out of it. I was already leaning towards this because the quality of life here is so good for defense, but Sanctuary of Thought used to be a less damage modifier for your build because it reduced the cost of Archmage, the cost of the spell, 50% less mana cost of skills. And Sanctuary of Thought now is only an upside. It's only defense, increased mana reservation efficiency, which you don't care about because we're not reserving mana, and 100% AoE, and you know all of that is just really, really good for the build. This is a POB. This is just an absolute scuffed whatever POB, a Pledge of Hands, Mind Spiral, whatever, Voice of the Storm. You know, a couple nice-ish items here, but there's nothing, you know, it's not even fully worked out. And this is regular ball lightning right now at 9.1 million DPS, which is nothing. It's just level 20 ball lightning, slower proj, inspiration, which you can use now. You previously couldn't use inspiration because you wanted higher mana cost, but now you can use inspiration support, which is great. Slower proj in here, it's a 5-link because we are calculating the flat lightning damage here. So with our amount of mana that we have, this is 7,600. To be accurate, 76 times 0.19. It's actually 1458. If we want to be exactly accurate, this is how much lightning damage is getting added. And you can see we are at 9 million DPS with the new Archmage. Now, the downside. My coworker, my friend, and other coworkers as well. They, unfortunately, are also getting on the train. I got sniped. A lot of people are catching on. You know, already, obviously, Connor, 1 mana left. He's already, you know, he's always on the mana train, but it's being picked up by a lot of other people right now. And regular ball lightning, league start, Archmage is looking really, really good. So yeah, here's a totally scuffed setup. Moon Sorrow, Mind Spiral, Warp Timepiece, Lori's Lantern. Yeah, 7 million DPS, right? With like nothing. Because of the attention that is being called to it, I have my stupid hipster sensibilities. I don't want to play the thing everyone else is playing. Also feels weird, right? It's the way it is. When something gets really popular, it feels weird how much attention is being called on it. And also, I'm going to be making a league start guide on Maxroll for the Frostblink Elementalist, and I think it's really useful for me to be playing the same build that I'm making the Maxroll guide for. I can help people out. I can share my experiences with people. If we find any specific gear, anything in Necropolis that is better for the build, I'll be playing it. I can share exactly what I'm finding for the build. And also on stream today, I wanted to just show people how awesome this build is and just how fun it is on League Start. So my whole plan was just to do an Act 3 run, and I couldn't help myself, and I actually did a full Act 5 run. And for me, I don't try to be the fastest person in the world, but I do try to know what I'm doing. And I did a 0 death, 2 hour, 16-minute Kitava kill without trying to go particularly fast. I just used white weapons with crafted damage on it just to show people how strong the build is. It's really, really good. I'm excited to play again. And it's always fun to kind of revisit a build and see if there's anything you can kind of fine tune and figure out that's going to be a little bit better. And I think especially with the return of tattoos, that's really good for particularly League Start builds. I don't know how common tattoos are going to be this coming league. They may be very, very rare until we're farming tier 16s, for a long time. But there's a lot of very comfy ones that you can just get, like just getting lightning res for using your lightning coil right here. The minus 60 lightning res, that's a pain in the butt, but this build does end up with so much intelligence that we just don't need or don't use, because especially we're Eldritch Battery, so we don't need the mana. We can sacrifice a lot of that int, get our lightning res back just for a couple of really cheap tattoos. I assume those ones are going to be pretty cheap. And that already takes so much pressure off of the gear. It just feels really, really nice. So yeah, I just wanted to set the record straight a little bit on my thoughts on the Archmage support and Ball Lightning. Like, at the end of the day, right, I was already looking at non-static Ball Lightning in case static did get hit. It was obviously potentially going to get nerfed, and I said that in the videos. I think it's going to be really good. The main reason I'm probably not going to start it is Eoval, the hipster reason, with a lot of people looking at it. I don't know. It feels less interesting to play the same build that everybody else is going to be playing. I don't think it's going to be that popular, but there's going to be a good number of people playing it. And the other thing is those uniques. It does look at a few uniques that you might want to kind of scale into. Pledge of Hands might be a little expensive. Annihilating Light's always so cheap as soon as it starts dropping for a while. But that thing's a pain in the butt to try to build around. But then, like, Azirius Foible, like, I think that's going to be expensive for a while. The high-end version of any mana stacker, most mana stackers right now, kind of goes into Mjolnir. I think Mjolnir is going to be pretty expensive for a while. High-end's probably going to go into Indigon as well. That's going to get expensive as well. So on and so forth. And I, particularly in a League Start scenario, the only uniques that I'm looking at for my build are Eye of Malice, Lightning Coil, and Profane Proxy. Profane Proxy, might be a Divine or so for the first couple of days, but that price goes down real quick. Lightning Coil, Eye of Malice are just going to be very easy to, at least on a 5-link. That's my plan. I'm really excited. Actually, first thing tomorrow morning, I am going to... Wait, actually, hold on. I do have an announcement. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be doing a podcast with Riker Raxitarax. I don't know where his A's and N's and T's are, but Rax. I just call him Rax. And Wudijo. So talking with a couple of the Maxroll boys and Riker, and it'll be really fun, kind of a generic ARPG podcast. So I'm very excited for that. But after that, I'll probably stream for a little bit. But tomorrow night, nope, I'm probably going to make a video. After the video tomorrow night, this is welcome to League Start, man. Busy all day. After the video tomorrow night, I will be starting to work on the Frostblink Maxroll guide. And it's going to have all of the resources that I can get together for it. It is a tried and true, beautiful, fun, fast, great League starter. It's not some giga clear. It doesn't scale into insane damage, but it can hit the dot cap if you want to, and just zips around. Very fun to play. Really love that build. But yeah, just want to update you guys on how that's going, what I'm thinking about, what I'm working on right now. And I'm so glad to have you guys around for all this. It's always really fun. It's like really, really busy. It's like stressful, busy, but satisfying and fun. And it's so great, like kind of spitballing ideas with you guys in chat when I'm streaming and we're kind of working things out. And there's actually a couple things that I might want to integrate, like the Warcry support for Infernal Cry, getting that kind of automated. I want to use Profane Proxy next league just to automatically have a curse all the time. Makes our Eye of Malice much more strong when we're clearing effective damage as we're clearing with the Frostblink. That feels a lot better. Tested that today. And yeah, it's going to be good. I hope the league's really good. That league mechanic for Necropolis, I don't know how I feel about it. Just like it looks very complex, and it could be like Harvest League, and it ends up being really fun and interesting. But there's a lot of moving parts, so stay tuned. Definitely get subscribed if you want to learn all that mechanic with me. I'll do my best to try to get right on top of that and teach all that stuff to you guys as soon as I understand it. And yeah, let's have a good league together. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.